Oh man, I put a big old yes. Yes, it's possible for him to feel this way above him. Because especially if you hear from men, for some reason, we're just dumb like that on one way. We can really care about somebody and just go off on our things and get put up with other little stuff that we think is needed to have a relationship with this person. And plus, there's always a saying, young fools become old fools. So, we probably usually don't realize it. And plus, I don't know, I have a lot of my friends, especially at this age, that are single, and they always talk about the one that got away.
The one that got away.
Yeah, so you always hear that, especially now that I'm getting up and feds are still watching, so I ain't gonna tell you my age.
What is he thinking? You are now listening to the podcast that has the answers you need for your love life to succeed. This is
What Is He Thinking?
If yes, why would he desire to be apart from her and not contact her? Even for a season. I think sometimes it comes down to a thing of like pride and wisdom. Too much pride and not enough wisdom. So that's usually when it happens. And then usually they get Trayvon Diggs. You know what I mean? That girl got intercepted.
Wow. Ladies. Trayvon Diggs has the most interceptions in the NFL for the last 2 seasons, if you don't know what he's talking about.
Yes.
Look him up.
Yes. Go Cowboys. But anyway, that's, but a lot of part, that's just what happens. You know what I mean? We think that thing will always be there, and we want it to be on our timing, but it never really works out like that.
I hear you on that, JT. Agree, disagree? You got something to add, take away? What you got?
I think there's a movie, right? I think it was called He's Just Not That Into You. I think that very much applies, because you hear people all the time say, I don't want a girlfriend, I don't want this, I don't want a relationship. And they flip right over to this new person and they're doing all the things that they said they weren't ready for. So I think that's one factor. But kind of in agreement with Ray S.J. there, like, I think that, yeah, it's possible for somebody to be deeply attracted to someone, or in a sense, mature enough to realize, like, the timing isn't good, whether they're looking at themselves or they're looking at her, right?
Yeah.
But to his point, I mean, they shouldn't expect that person to be available or even receptive by the time you deem that it's ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll add on to that too.
All right.
I agree with the points that Ray S.J. and JT made. But, I kind of first saw this from a more skeptical angle. Like, it sounded like she just got ghosted, and this was the reason that was told. It's like, hey, I like you a lot. I can see myself with you. I promise,
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you, it's me. Give me some time to go figure myself out, right? This speech, a version of this speech has probably been spoken by, I think, everybody on this call at some point.
Yeah.
My main thought here when I read that question was, yeah, it's possible, but at the same time, just from my own personal experience, I wouldn't put myself through that misery. If I really like somebody, I would want to be there as much as possible, especially knowing, like, she might get Trayvon Diggs. It's possible that, get swooped away. So while I think as a man, we want to get things in order, want to get ourselves to a place in life for that one person we think is that special person, my thought too is that this could also be something where the guy probably just wasn't as into her as she thought, and she's now questioning things like, hey, could he ever come back? And chances are, like Ray S.J. said, or JT said, he might find somebody else, and that might be it. So,
or she might find somebody else.
She might find somebody else too. So I would not keep that candle burning.
Why do we think like that? Like, why do we think like we had to come back? We got to get ourselves right before we come back, instead of just bringing them along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we just want to be ready. Like, we want to feel like we can provide security, and also just be the people we picture ourselves as wanting to be before we settle down. Yeah, that's how I think we're kind of wired as men.
Let me piggyback on that. I think that's a big component of it. The same thing I'm sure all of us went through before we decided to pop the question, right? We were with women long enough to say, like, this is the one, but you want to make sure everything's right. You want to be set. You want to have this to be able to, like, take care of a family or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of on top of that, right? There's a difference between, hey, this is something we need to work on. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, versus like major overhauls you think that she might need to make or you need to make. And if it's for her, right, at least you give that woman the respect of saying, like, hey, here's something I've identified. Like, what do you think about this or whatever? But if you think it's something that you need to change, right, you're basically saying, like, I'm unwilling to change right now or work hard enough to improve myself, right? So if that's the case, I feel like you've done her a favor, right? And so, like, that's the luck of her being available when you finally put in that self-work to be a better person. So
that's an interesting point. I like that question, Reyes, because that was kind of what I was thinking. or something I was going to comment as far as why do men feel like we have to have everything together before we can actually take a woman seriously. And I'm thinking part of it is natural or whatnot, but another part of it I feel like is just kind of generational. It's the current time. I feel like people in general, like our grandparents, I spoke about this on podcasts 2 years ago or whatnot, but our grandparents in times before were willing to grow together with somebody. You know, hey, we're both fresh out of high school, or I'm 21, you're 17. Hey, this is 100 years ago, so don't look at me crazy. This is how it was. We're both kind of inexperienced at life, but we'll put our 2 shillings together and we'll have 4 and we'll start with the mattress on the floor and we'll build this together. Like, that was way more accepted, I feel like, a couple generations ago than it is now. So even if the woman would be willing to do that with a man kind of doesn't think that that's an option. Yeah. If I'm not fully mentally ready, if my money isn't right, if my career isn't right, then I'm not even going to take any woman or any relationship seriously.
Right.
So that could be going on, or what Carl said, this could just be him letting her down slowly. You know what I'm saying? We could be digging too deeply into this, and he just had a better looking woman. Yeah, he can handle a rotation of 3, and she was the 4th, so he had to kick her out the rotation. You know what I'm saying? It could be as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Or she just finished watching Love Jones or something.
Yeah, possibly. You feel what I'm saying?
I mean, let's be honest. I think we all make good points about really thinking through, like, what could this mean? But in all honesty, if one of my sisters came to me and said, hey, yo, some dude was like, he's really into me, but he doesn't think the time is right, I'm like, if you don't kick him to the curb.
Yeah, so advice that I would give the woman that wrote this, like, you got to move on with your life. If he comes back into your life later on and it just so happened that things work out, then it's all good. I mean, that kind of almost actually happened in my own personal life. You know, me and my wife didn't see eye to eye initially or whatnot. Kind of went our separate ways. A year and a half, came back together. And 3.5 years after that, you know what I'm saying, we're husband and wife. So it is possible, but you don't.
There we go.
That's different between possibility and probability. So the advice that we give you on 100%. This podcast is probability, not possibility. So just to get back to the question, you know, is it possible for him to feel all the ways that he feels and still think about her but not contact her? Yes, it's possible. I hate questions that ask, is it possible? Those are bad questions.
Anything's possible.
Like,
Anything's possible.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible to drop out of the 5th grade and be a billionaire, but is that what you're going to teach your kid to do? You know what I'm saying? Is that the method? Is that how the strategy? Is that? No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in one of Chris Rock's stand-ups, he's like, you know, you can drive a car with your feet, but are you going to do it though? Like, is it a smart idea? Like, you do that if you have to. If you know what I'm saying, don't have any arms, you don't do that for fun. So yes, it's possible, but kind of like we've been tossing this question around, I feel like a little bit more context is needed regarding their situation to properly answer this question. There's a difference between a man thinking a woman is hot and a man thinking a woman is wifey material. And then there's also a difference between him actually wanting to marry that woman. I could view you as wifey material, but not for me, or wifey material, but not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just different levels to it. And just depending on what the man thinks of himself and where he is in life, sometimes a man only knows he can be a friend at a certain point in time. He knows that things got romantic, they wouldn't progress in the way that they should, and he just didn't want to go down that road. So he's just kind of avoid it all. I don't want to say at all costs, but he knows he can see the future, doesn't want to drag her through that. And the fact that he's not contacting her, and she seems real concerned about, why is he not contacting me? If he thinks this highly of me, why aren't we talking, this or that? I think I came up with this analogy in high school, maybe in college. Tell me if you've heard this one before, JT, because we went to college together. Men don't like to hang around the kitchen smelling food and chatting with the chef for the heck of it. If we're not going to get a plate, we ain't trying to hang around in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to go near the kitchen unless it's time to eat. You know what I mean?
Sir.
Like, so if he ain't trying to do something for real with this woman and he respects her too much to just have her as a plaything, then he's not going to be hanging around. You know what I'm saying?
Just a snack.
Would y'all agree or disagree with that?
100% agree. What did Maya Angelou say? Like, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I mean, if a dude tells you, I'm not ready now, whether it be good reasons or trash reasons, he still told you. So, like, why are you debating it? The why doesn't matter in my mind.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Yeah.
I agree with that too, especially about the kitchen analogy. I mean, there's guys who can have friends who are females that they're attracted to, I just don't know these guys personally, man. It's not
it's a possibility, but it's not a probability, right?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you just don't do that to yourself. Why torture yourself? So if he's not going to be there now, she needs to just move on. Like to JT's point, he said exactly who he was for the time in their lives. I would not hold that candle.
Yep.
I hear you. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I like that kitchen analogy though. That was a good one. Are you the main meal or are you the snack?
PB&J.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, and everything in college revolved around food, so that made sense in multiple ways.
That's right. We would go to any type of meeting if they had free food. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it could be
called survivor
sort of a
skills.
KKK rally. We was there.
It could be the blind atheist meeting, and we'd be all there with our Bibles to eat the pizza. Pizza.